You are now listening to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you the realest entertainment, information, music, lifestyle, and truth and comedy shows around. I don't count likes, calories, or blessings. I don't download snakes or bite my tongue. It is what it is. I am what I am. I am your host, Tony Williams. Welcome to all of my new listeners and welcome to my On Ones Day Ones. Big shout out to my YouTube family out there. SPM Easy School Bus Driver, love the kids. My Facebook family, K Smith, Sonny, Giovanni. And so many more. To everyone out there listening right now, much love and respect to you. It is Wednesday. This is Let's Talk. If you have not contacted us before, this is a live broadcast. You may do so at this time. The number is 318-315-3971. Again, that number is 318-315-3971. Now, should you decide to call in, this call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance purposes. Your continued participation in the telephone call serves as express consent to be monitored and or recorded. Now, if you would like to reach On One, you can do so by email oneradiotalk@gmail.com. Now, getting into our topic for this evening, which is a little interesting. For some and then for others, it's really not. Once again, Me Too does play a role in something else. Not saying it's necessarily bad, but it is what it is. Now, I don't know about you all, if you like watching TV like I do, or watching shows and movies and whatnot, you definitely, when you look at those shows, you want to know that you've got a good writer, because you're going to be able to tell, because you're a watcher. Just like myself, you sit down and watch TV and movies, and you criticize. Yes, we all do it. No shame in the damn game. None at all. Now, with that being said, we have two female writers quit Patricia Heaton's CBS show after making complaints. Writers are very important to shows, and we need them for the shows to be any type of decent or good. Now this happened back in May. Now, CBS employees received an email introducing a new plan for handling sexual harassment complaints. There would be a very expanded and visible structure, the email stated, with highly trained HR executives at every CBS program to ensure safety and build trust. Trust was an issue at CBS. In the last 2 years, the company's longtime chief executive, Leslie Moonves, and the anchor, Charlie Rose, were fired after CBS determined that they had engaged in sexual misconduct. Both men have denied the accusations. Another case led to $9.5 million payment by CBS to the actress Eliza Dushku. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. Who said she had been written off the show Bull after she complained that its star, Michael Weatherly, had made her uncomfortable with his crude comments. Now, the new process was put to test soon after it was announced, and the results were ambiguous at best, as CBS tried to get its bearings in a landscape reshaped by the Me Too movement. In the end, no one involved came away happy. I mean, think about it. That was going to be a battle. But in early September, Brody Gupta, a writer on Carol's Second Act, a sitcom starring the Emmy-winning actress Patricia Heaton, made a formal complaint against David Hunt, an executive producer on the show, who is also Miss Heaton's husband. Miss Gupta, age 25, accused Mr. Hunt, age 65, of touching her inappropriately on 2 occasions. Now, when she complained to Human Resources, Ms. Gupta said she did not think Mr. Hunt should be fired. Instead, she wanted him to go through sexual harassment training and see why he had made her uncomfortable. But after she made the complaint, she felt she was being penalized at work. She said in an interview, she quit the show in mid-September. Now, we know humans being human, sometimes things goes down, and then sometimes things are said to have gone down. So a lot of this right now is allegedly. Now, Margie Maggie, age 43, a writer with the title of co-executive producer, resigned in October. She said she quit because she felt she had been stripped of responsibilities after talking to higher-ups about tension arising from Ms. Gupta's complaint. Now, CBS Television Studios said in a statement that it had dealt with the complaints fairly, adding that Mr. Hunt had cooperated fully with the process. That could possibly be, PR cleanup. Accident on aisle 5? Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Now, deciding to go to HR, that's a big deal. I never suggest for a woman who feels uncomfortable not to be able to speak up and say so. Now, I do have a problem when it turns out to be an untrue statement. That's where I have a problem with it. So, if anyone's going to holler me too, please let it be true too. Can we do that? Now, as I was saying, going to HR is a very big step. Now, along with her husband, Miss Heaton is an executive producer of Carol's Second Act, a sitcom that had its broadcast debut September 26th. She had been married to Mr. Hunt, a Juilliard-trained actor and producer from Britain, since 1990. And he did hit shows like Everyone Loves Raymond. Miss Heaton, a household name, on the new show, taped before an audience on the CBS Studio Center lot in Los Angeles, she plays a former teacher who becomes a doctor in a late-in-life career shift. Now, Miss Gupta, who published humor pieces at McSweeney's and The New Yorker while still in college, and later wrote for the ABC sitcom Speechless and the Netflix show Friends from College, joined the writing staff in June. In early August, after a dinner for the cast and crew at Pizzeria Moza, Miss Gupta was standing with Mr. Hunt and others in the valet parking area. She said that she had not met him before that night. He hugged her twice from the side, Miss Gupta said, before he complimented her pants and ran a hand up the side of her thigh. Brian Friedman, a lawyer for Miss Heaton and Mr. Hunt, said in an email that his client did not remember the details as described, and that he does not recall rubbing anyone's leg or thigh, and disputes that characterization of it. Ms. Gupta said the experience outside the restaurant made her uncomfortable. On her way home, she called her boyfriend, Greg Gallant, a television writer, and described what had happened. A friend, Dylan Gula, an actress, later went to her apartment, and Ms. Gupta told her about the incident. Mr. Gallant and Ms. Gula confirmed the conversation they had had that night with Ms. Gupta. Now, Mr. Gallant said he encouraged Ms. Gupta to complain to the showrunners, but the women had reservations. We both kind of decided that it would be bad for her to do anything about it, Ms. Gula said, and clearly we were correct. For several weeks, Ms. Gupta said she told no one at Carol's Second Act about her accusations against Mr. Hunt, but then she said there were another instance of unwanted contact. So not only did he stop that once or twice, he proceeded allegedly to do it again. She was seated on a high folding chair, the kind known as director's chair on the lot. Miss Maggie, the co-executive producer, was seated next to her as Mr. Hunt approached. He seemed to be looking for something, Miss Gupta and Miss Maggie said. When he took Miss Gupta by the shoulders and jerked her forward, Miss Maggie jumped out of her chair and said, "Excuse me," she told the Times. Mr. Hunt said nothing and walked away, the two women said. Okay, so this is starting to show some character here with this. And you really got to be careful, because I'm not saying every celebrity is like this, but just having human nature and having that powerful feeling, that rich power behind you, it can kind of lighten your restraints, so to speak. Make you do some things that you normally probably wouldn't do if you weren't well-to-do, well-kept, rich, or all of the above. Now, Ms. Gupta later told Miss Maggie that it was not the first time Mr. Hunt had touched her inappropriately, and she described what happened outside the restaurant, the two women said. Miss Maggie urged Gupta to go to the showrunners, Sarah Haskins and Emily Harpland, and was present when Miss Gupta spoke with them. Miss Maggie considered the showrunners friends, having worked with them on other sitcoms. After the talk with Miss Gupta, Miss Haskins and Miss Harpland reported what she had said to CBS Television Studios. In early September, Miss Gupta then met with Ellen Goldsmith, a human resources executive. Now, during that discussion, Miss Gupta emphasized that she did not want Mr. Hunt kicked off the show, she stated. Later that same week, on a Friday, Miss Gupta met again with Miss Goldsmith. Now, this is according to the account of Miss Gupta. Ms. Goldsmith said CBS had started an investigation and had corroborated the chair incident, and while Mr. Hunt did not recall touching Ms. Gupta outside the restaurant, Ms. Goldman said she had no reason to doubt it. She then asked Ms. Gupta what she would like to happen next. I told them just my own personal code of ethics, which is that if there is space for education instead of punitive measures, then I believe in education, Ms. Gupta said. Okay, she sounds fairly reasonable. But I will say this. If there are no changes or any consequences, people won't stop. Because I'm not limiting this to just guys being the aggressors and touchers. Females can do it too. Doesn't mean they should, but they do. And this is male or female in a job situation like this. This is where we have issues like this. And this is where corrective measures really do need to be taken, because it's like a kid. If you just keep telling them no about something, they're really never learning about it. You say it once, no. They look at you like, okay. They do it again. All you're going to say is no, but you're not going to make them feel any type of punishment at all. So they're going to feel very comfortable doing it because they feel as though they're going to get a very light punishment of no. Well, it rolls out and works out the same way out in the world. Believe it or not, it does. Now, the following Monday, the showrunners told the writers that they would be barred from the day's rehearsal because the previous run thoughts had gotten too chaotic. On one Thursday, the day show was taped. The writers were informed that they would no longer be allowed to run revised versions of failed jokes to the showrunners, as had been the usual practice. Instead, only the episode's credited writer would be allowed to do so. Ms. Gupta and Ms. Maggie said they suspected that the changes in routine had come about as a way to keep them separated from Mr. Hunt. Other writers on the staff were confused and a little anxious, thinking maybe they did something wrong, Ms. Gupta said. Andrew Bretler, the lawyer for the showrunners, Ms. Haskin and Ms. Halpern, said the plan to change the rehearsal and taping process, which were meant to reduce chaos on the set, had come about shortly before Ms. Gupta's complaint. It's really more of a coincidence than anything that it happened to be on the same day, the lawyer added. So slick and smooth and slithery-like. And once the showrunners learned of the complaint, the lawyer said they asked Human Resources if they could still go ahead with their planned changes. They didn't do anything without running up the flagpole with HR, of course. Now, backed by the showrunners saying in a statement that they had decided to streamline their production process before Ms. Gupta complained to them about Mr. Hunt. Really convenient, though, if I might add. Now, Miss Maggie said she confronted the showrunners after the taping and came away from the discussion believing that the changes had been made to keep Miss Gupta and Mr. Hunt apart. Now, two other people who worked on the show who were not authorized to speak publicly said that they had the same impression from the showrunners. After speaking to the showrunners, Miss Maggie relayed the discussion to Miss Gupta Miss Gupta, it was the last straw. She said that she felt that while Mr. Hunt seemed largely unaffected, she was being prevented from doing her job properly, and other staff writers were being penalized. And I can also kind of understand where she's coming from with that as well. Um, sad, I mean, sad to say, but it comes with the territory. Um, it's like standing up to a bully. I'm not saying he did it. This is all alleged. Now, until we know further information on this, all I can do is say allegedly. But I can voice my opinion on it. These are just my beliefs. You don't have to go with them. But it's like being back in school and you've got the school bullies now. As long as you bow down to the school bullies, everything is fine. But the moment you hold your head up with some confidence, there's a problem. Now, like I stated before, this goes for male and female, not just for female or not just for male. Now, the people we happen to be talking about today are female who happen to be writers. Now, with all of this going on, you can imagine how they were feeling. You can imagine the bull that they were going through, how they were feeling, the stress that it probably did cause. But the main thing is it true? Are the statements true, or is it a Me Too lie? Or is it really, yes, this really did happen to me too? Nowadays, it's kind of hard to tell with all the females chasing bags, and then you've got the guys now chasing the bags. So it's kind of hard to tell, and you really got to wait and kind of sort it out to see. Now, I'm not sure I could have kept writing here, because if you done tried to fill me up, but you know what? I would have been done said something already. You're not finna just be filling all up on me. You ain't took me to dinner. You ain't paid no bills. You ain't invested in nothing. You ain't invested no time, no conversation, no relationship, no touchy. Keep your damn hands to yourself. Thank you very much. So the first time would have had to be enough. You got to go ahead and say something because, like I said before, you let it go on. They assume that it's okay. Now, at what point do they decide to quit is another big question. Now, after Miss Gupta's departure, Miss Maggie met with Miss Goldman and another human resources executive, Tim Farrell, to express her concerns. Miss Maggie described the meeting as tense. At one point, she said her eyes welled up with tears. In her view, Mr. Farrell was unsympathetic, asking Miss Maggie if she had a massage scheduled for that weekend. She said, the hell does a massage? Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with, yeah, I can see that. Now, in truth, Miss Maggie said, the people who are there to enforce the new protocol just don't do it. CBS said in response, our human resource team always endeavors to address issues in a professional and sensitive manner, and we must clarify that certain allegations about them have either been misstated or taken wholly out of context. Miss Maggie said she found herself stripped of nearly all her writing responsibilities after talking to Human Resources, a point disputed by the showrunner's lawyer, who said she had been relieved of some duties well before the onset tensions. Convenience, like I said before. CBS said there was no evidence that the showrunners had retaliated or had intent to retaliate in their interactions with the writer or the producer. How many people do you know out there that you can honestly say is not vengeful, ugly, at any point? You've never seen them. You've never heard of it. It's unheard of. For everyone you know. Now add money on top of that. Dump loads and loads of drawers and bras full of money on top of that situation. Now answer that same question. It sounds like some shit in the game to me. I'm just being honest because I'm not going to bite it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Now, Miss Maggie quit last month. I did not want to leave, she said. I love doing my job. Miss Gupta and Miss Maggie hired Natasha Chesler, an employment lawyer with the Los Angeles firm Chesler McCaffery. They told her they wanted to be paid only what they were owed under their contracts and said they would not sign non-disclosure agreements. CBS agreed to pay them and said it supported their request to waive any contractual provisions that would prevent them from speaking about their experiences on the show. Mr. Hunt completed sexual harassment training October 1st. CBS sent him what it called a closure letter, which said in part, your behavior caused the individual who raised the concerns to feel genuinely uncomfortable in the workspace, and it reflected a disregard for CBS policies and guidelines in the matter. You are hereby cautioned not to engage in such behavior. Now, Miss Maggie and Miss Gupta said they never imagined they would end up leaving the show back when they made their complaints. All we wanted was for him to watch like a 45-minute harassment video, Miss Maggie said. None of this had to happen. And most of this time in life, that's kind of how it ends up. It ends up being a whole fuckery shitstorm of shit. And none of this had to happen. So, do you think it's true? Do you think they were on a paper chase? Or do you think Mr. Hunt was back there just drooling like a tiger in the bushes waiting? What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Because this case is actually, this is kind of interesting because they've had a few problems. I mean, and a few other shows have had problems as well. You remember that old Family Feud show where that old guy was kissing on the women, like really kissing on the women and everything like that. But I'm going to let you guys know something. This does not just happen to females. It does happen to males, and I really think it's important to have that awareness out there as well. If it is true, I sincerely apologize that they had to go through any of that. If it's not true, y'all need to get your raggedy asses somewhere and sit down. But by all means, everyone does deserve their own personal space. That is a part of our human rights. And it should be respected and it should be honored. No one has the right to defile your personal space. Wanted is one thing. Unwanted is a whole nother thing. No means no. Please mean please don't. Please means please behave yourself and keep your damn hands to yourself, whether you're male or female, touching on male or female. However you try to do it. Just don't do it. If you're not sure, don't do it. You really want to really badly, ask first. You never know how far you get if you just ask first. Ask how a person feels. Nobody wants unwanted fondling and touching and groping. Get your damn hands out of that. Get out from around there. That's not your space. And everyone must respect that. From the rich to the poor, to the red to the purple. Everyone deserves kindness and respect. So let's give it to each other. Can we do that? Now you guys, thank you. You have been listening to On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you information, entertainment, music, talk radio, lifestyle, truth, and comedy shows around. The realest. Thank you once again to all my new listeners and all of my On Ones Day Ones. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my talk show podcast. I wish you the best and don't allow anyone to fuck up your vibes. This has been Let's Talk. And I am Tony On One Williams, and I have been on one tonight. Until next time, be good. And if you're on social media at any point, please do not forget or hesitate to like, share, and follow me on Tumblr, Facebook, Figo Videos, Snapchat, WordPress, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LiveMe. You can always email on oneradiotalk@gmail.com. And during the live broadcast shows, you can give a call, 318-315-3971. Big shout out and standing ovation goes to our newest podcaster, Lo, with Lo's Talk. Catch her Monday at 7, Tuesday at 7, Thursday at 7. See what she got going on right here on Spreaker. On One Radio, the talk show podcast station. Hello.